Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
We're going to have a farewell interview with Dr. Paul Craig Roberts, who announced a week and a half ago that he is retiring from the fight against the New World Order. He'll be with us for a full hour to discuss the tyranny that has taken over our nation and why I guess he thinks it's a lost cause, at least for now. And we'll break down why the father of Reaganomics, the former head of policy, the U.S. Treasury, a former editor of the Wall Street Journal, is saying sayonara. So that is coming up in the next hour. There have been new developments and pieces of the puzzle dealing with the gun camera pod footage out of two different Apache helicopters in Iraq, with the pilot directing the gunners. And we're going to be talking about that today. And we have some really horrible news for everyone, but it's really not news for this audience. But I want to talk about the strategy they're going to use to pass this, the stratagem, and our strategy to defeat it. They have had Republicans for about 16 years that I'm aware, even 2 years before I was on air. I went to Republican meetings all over the state, Dallas, Fredericksburg, you name it. And they would have speakers there pushing a value-added tax or national sales tax, different combinations of them, as a way to get rid of the income tax. And so I did some research and found out that Federal Reserve allied banks were the ones promoting this, and I already knew when I was in college 16 years ago that the central banks always want to raise taxes. And so we discovered, by the time I got on air 14 and a half, 15 years ago, that this was a long-term strategic operation to make it a tenet of conservatism, kind of a Pavlovian response where they ding a bell and conservatives roll over and beg for it as if it's something good. It's like begging for a bullet in the head. And I've explained for all these years that what Neil Bortz promotes, what all these people promote, the so-called fair taxes and different variants, would be brought in at the time of the financial collapse due to Social Security, the defense budget, the bank debt. And now here we are. It's 2010. I've been warning you for over 14 years. And they're not going to get rid of the income tax, ladies and gentlemen. They're going to give you a VAT, and they're going to give you carbon taxes and everything on top of it. This is like extra layers of icing. And this is to bring us into line with the United Nations, with the European Union. That's what the New World Order is it's a global corporate takeover of government, and then they don't want the middle class being able to grow or become wealthy and challenge them. And so they set up a global regime to, quote, shut down tax havens. The U.S. and England, believe it or not, the average Brit pays over 60% in taxes. The average American pays more than half in taxes. That's the average person. Wealthy people are paying above 60% in this nation. And so that's what the New World Order is. It's a global straitjacket of regulation and control. Now, when I say wealthy people, I mean people making $200,000 to a couple million a year. The way the tax laws are set up, that once you're at a billionaire level or a global corporation level, you pay almost no taxes. They've got the special lawyers, they've got the loopholes, they've got it all set up. So when you hear about the IRS saying they're going to go after offshore money, that's people with $5 million or even $100,000 offshore that was legally put there. They're going to change the laws. They're now saying it to retroactively take your money, and they're clamping new regulatory powers in this week outside of law where you can't take a dollar outside the U.S. You're going to stay here, and they're going to rob you, and they got paramilitary police that are going to back up their tax collectors. And America, you ain't seen nothing yet. Here's the Wall Street Journal. Volcker, carbon tax, VAT should be on the table. And they are on the table. And you're going to have all your chicken feed services cut that domesticated you. It's now time to slaughter the hogs. They're done fattening you up. And everything's going to go to the bankers and their enforcer police. Get ready to bend over. We're live, ladies and gentlemen. It is Wednesday, the 7th day of April 2010. Dr. Paul Craig Roberts for his Swan Song interview. He'll be joining us coming up in the next hour via video connection Skype. We'll be live on prisonplanet.tv for the second, third, and fourth hour on this Wednesday edition. Okay, I want to put an exclamation point behind what I'm about to talk about, and I want to underline it and I want to highlight it in bright yellow. And then I want to draw arrows pointing at what I'm about to say on each side, and I want to scream it through a megaphone, metaphorically. I get up here and I tell you what the New World Order is doing, who they are, what their mindset is, what their game plan is, and we're now getting very deep into the rat hole here. It's all manifesting. Everything we told you is now happening exactly as we said it would happen. Why? Because I read their own documents, I read their own statements. I do it 3, 4, 5 hours a day. So this is not Alex Jones telling you this. This is the absolute fact. What we cover here is facts. What we cover here is documents. What we cover here is history. What we cover here is what the globalists, technicians, and social engineers and futurists are stating they were going to build. And I've read what they said 100 years ago out of England that runs the whole show. And what they said 50 years ago, what they said 5 years ago, what they said last month. And everything they say they're going to do, they do. Now, they say they're going to bankrupt all of us and force us into a nanny state with aggressive paramilitary social workers and control freaks running our lives. They are going to break up our families. They are going to further brainwash the public. They are going to forcibly drug the public. They are forcibly drugging the water supply and the GMO food. They are going to forcibly inoculate you. They are going to take your blood warrantlessly at checkpoints, already happening. They've been taking your baby's blood for 37 years at birth in every industrialized nation, part of a UN secret treaty. That's now mainstream news. There isn't time to screw around here. I've prayed to God Almighty. I woke up at 4 in the morning, couldn't go back to sleep, and just asked God, please help me be focused. Please help me be serious. Please help me articulate to people just how unbelievably evil this is so that we can stop it. This doesn't have to happen. If people will wake up and face the dire situation we're in, we can reverse this. If serious men and women who are more intelligent and more eloquent and more financially endowed than I would simply get in the fight and not be manipulated into the Republican Party or the Democratic Party or the Labour Party or the Tory Party in England or the Socialist in Germany or the Social Democrats in Germany, if you would simply research the architecture of the New World Order and the public blueprints, thousands of public blueprints at every level of society. I have read these thousands of blueprints. They call them blueprints. When I make a film called Endgame, Blueprint for Global Enslavement, that's a term they use. Jason Bermas's film, A New World Order, Defined, Invisible Empire, those terms come from elite publications. It's one thing to know all of this is coming and to see it year after year be implemented, but to be coming to a road sign on this road to tyranny that signifies we are deep, deep, deep inside now shakes me. It shakes me because I love innocent people. I love good people. I love hardworking people. I love the power of the free market and individuals being able to keep just something of what they earn and being able to have some control over what they do. I know what collectivism and bondage and slavery is, and there is no doubt we are in a scientific tyranny. We are going deeper into a scientific dictatorship, and it has the most horrible aims and goals at the end of the road. All of the cancer viruses in the vaccine and the hundreds of deadly chemicals in the water and the GMO foods in every case that just so happen to have a side effect of reducing fertility and causing cancer. It's not a side effect, it's the main effect. and the militarization of police and the FEMA camps and the illegal wars and the torture and the secret arrest, and all of it is a means to an end. And it's stated by the State Department, by the UN, by the Club of Rome, and by every major globalist institution that once they've got this thing in place, all the murder and death and extermination you've seen was testing, was a laboratory test. They call Afghanistan a laboratory. They call Iraq a laboratory. They publicly call Abu Ghraib and Camp X-ray laboratories where they practice their craft. And the end game is to kill you.